your shell up to your parents. You really have to be a good and persistent parent and just always be there. Always, because I know for me, the reason why I didn't use drugs in like the beginning of high school is because my mom was always there through athletics, through like organization programs, getting your children involved constantly. You know, they don't have time for that type of stuff. You know, they don't have time to go out at night because they're preparing themselves for a meet or a game or, you know, doing homework. If you just constantly just give them things to keep them busy, I'm sure, like, there'll be less chance of, you know, them running into teens that are, you know, not as involved. Because, you know, most children in high school that are involved with organizations and athletics aren't using that stuff. So if you keep them in a good, you know, peer circle, then less chance of them getting into drugs or alcohol abuse early.
What are the warning signs for drugs or alcohol abuse, if there are any?
You can't, there's no real way to just say, you know, you can't really tell, like, there are no real warning signs. Seriously, like, I mean, you can be a straight A student. I know straight A students. I know people that go to UCLA, and I know people that go to Ivy League schools. And, I mean, they do drugs. They've smoked weed before. They've gotten drunk before. You know, there's no real signs to tell.
Only they abuse it so much that it takes over them, and, you know, their grades start falling. They come home late, or they don't call at all. They just don't come home, or those are like when you know they're abusing something and, you know, taking.
So once your child starts using, there's no way to find out if they are in fact using unless it's all the way to the extreme. Then you'll know. I mean,
well, I mean, the
there's no
obvious
red flags that go
well,
up.
the obvious like physical, like, you know, smell. Like if you smell them and they smell like it, of course, you know. But other than that, you really can't tell. You can't.
That's why you have to have an open relationship with them, because then, you know, if you know where they are at all times, like, not nag at them, like, where have you been, but just know where they are and what they've been doing.
But an open relationship, that your kid is still not going to say, oh, so I had some beer last night, I went out and smoked some pot. I mean, no matter how open.
Maybe not, but they can tell when they're lying. If you're very close, my mom and me are very close, and she knows when I'm lying.
Right.
If I do something the night before, I come home and I tell her something else, she'll know, because we have such a good relationship.
Right.
Ever since I was small, so.
So do you think the public is getting more aware of this problem because you have ads out now? You did used to have ads out that said this is your brain on drugs, any questions? But now you have ads out now seeing the parent and the child interact, and ones that say know where your child's going, ask your child questions. I just saw one the other day where this guy came home drunk and he wakes up in the morning and has something on his forehead that says,
we need to talk.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it says we, you know, so is this helping teenagers? Is this helping parents because they know, well, fine, the commercials are saying it all for me, I don't have to say anything, it's out there?
Yeah, I think it helps parents a lot because most parents, I think, would probably wake them up and start, like, you know, like, nagging at them, but that's like a calm way of you know, like, let them know that you know, and then talk to them. Like, don't wake, like, you know what I mean, like the commercial, the dad didn't wake him up and like, yell at him. He waited for him to, you know, wake up and then to have a talk with him.
Yeah, there's no point of yelling at your kid when he's drunk.
Yeah, no, there's no point.
Then he'll go do it again.
Yeah. But, I mean, and as far as how can you prevent it before and after, I think it's actually better or more helpful for the parents to get more involved after, because, I mean, seriously, like, if you haven't tried it or if you don't know what it's like, your parents talk to you and you're going, you know, what are they talking about, you know, because you haven't tried it and you don't know, you know. So, but after, if they've already gotten involved into it, it's probably better to get involved, because then they know, like, you know, how it feels and what the effects are. so then it'll sink in more, and like they'll kind of understand where you're coming from more.
But no parent wants to admit
That
that
their
their
kids are doing drugs.
they'll say, oh, it's that, oh yeah, your kid maybe, but my kid is
Exactly,
not,
yeah.
although our kids are best friends. So how do you get them to admit it, and then once they finally do admit it, they don't want to approach that topic with their kid. I mean, how do you go and say, oh, so how do you do that? Yeah, that commercial's all nice, you know, we need to talk, but in reality, are parents really going to do that?
They're not. Parents aren't rational like that. Parents, no, they.
Okay.
Parents, yeah, no. Parents see their kids as a reflection of themselves, and obviously, if their kid is coming home, you know, drunk or whatever, they're not going to want to admit it. They're not, but they're gonna. It's just that's their part. That's the parenting part. You know, they have to realize, and they have to take the initiative to say, all right, you know what, my kid does have a problem, and you know, it might be hard, but I mean that's what they're gonna have to do, because I mean you have to give some to your kids, or you have to give something up, so that your kids will open up. And if you know that your kid is involved in stuff like that, and you let them know, and like, because parents, they'll try to hide it. They'll like beat around the bush. They won't go right into it. So I mean, beating around the bush doesn't help at all, you know, because then that just gives the kid more of a reason to deny it.
Right.
You know, so it's better to attack, like get right into it.
And like Grizel said, if you have an open line of communication, even if the parent is beating around the bush, the child can always, I mean, children are not stupid. They know where you're going from the beginning, you know. And you could always say, okay, I know where you're going, you know, I see your point. You know, they can kind of help the parent along, because that has got to be a difficult topic to talk about with your kid, you know. And some parents just don't want to be that straightforward, you know. But kids can always deny it. Even if you are straightforward, they can say, no, I'm not. And there's no way, unless you catch them in the act, to actually know for sure that, yes, they are, or yes, they're not.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, so what have you learned that you want people to know?
I think we should give parents a parenting 101 class
Okay.
before everything.
Not only that, but
A dare for parents,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
But I think we're attacking parents too much. You know, it's not their fault we're doing it. I mean,
Right.
it's not them that's having us doing it. We're doing it on our own, you know? And I mean, we're attacking the parents like it's their fault,
Right.
or that it's their fault that they're not helping us.
Okay, with that, Kong, I hate to cut you off, but that is the end of our show today, and thank you guys for joining us. And keep in mind, parents, that if you need if you have any questions or suggestions for us, you can email me at the email address that's given in the credits. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Jello Kids.